Chooky Pete.
It's a wide angle.
We're live.
I don't know how many toppings I get.
Recording. Fantastic. Nicky Pendelton, welcome to Free Candy, sir.
Nikki.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah.
I'm Rich Brown, for anybody who has new viewers.
And I'm Josh Letzinger. I'm also ordering a pizza. So.
Ordering pizza, we're at the international headquarters for Free Candy. And we've got our guest, Nicky Pendelton. We've also, you might notice, we've begun some product placement advertising campaigns. We haven't reached a contractual agreement to discuss the products yet on air, but you may see some things here and there as the show gets into that big money. You know what I'm talking about?
Big money.
Speaking of big money, Nicky, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where you come from? What are you doing?
I'm coming from San Diego,
Okay.
and I'm coming back home. I grew up out here, and I missed it. I just wanted to be back home. I like that homey feeling that Idaho has.
Okay.
A lot of good people. Not that San Diego's bad. We all know San
Good
Diego's
save.
Which city would you say has a higher concentration of bad people?
probably San Diego.
There it is.
Hey.
Speak up, though. Speak up. You know,
Yeah, it's San
we
Diego.
gotta get good audio in here.
Well, there's so many people there.
We have one viewer who lives in California. He's been on the show twice, so I don't think he likes San Diego either. I think you're fine.
Who's that?
That's Taylor Impey,
Oh.
original Bad Boy Podcasting.
The absolute unit.
Yeah, buddy. We should have him call in. Maybe at some point we just call him and,
Sorry, Taylor.
and just put the phone by the mic and see if he can get in. So, open-ended shooting a breeze. We're getting the pizza. We'll get the pizza guy on here if Josh ever gets pizza ordered.
This is the most confusing thing on the planet.
And we also have cake. Derek's in the background. Derek's like the Jamie of our podcast. If it's for Joe Rogan, he does the Googling and the searching up stuff and making cake.
Did he also have something to do with the advertisements?
Don't look at him.
Oh.
We're not allowed to draw attention to him, dude. They're supposed to be in the background. Even
Yeah,
though
he's
they're
the
kind
boom
of
operator.
in the foreground. Wide open-ended, man. What's on your heart?
Oh, so much. More than I could describe.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
What are you doing out there? What do you see in the world?
I don't know. I couldn't dump it all into one episode, but I don't know. Something drew me back to Idaho. I think it was my family out here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had family in San Diego, but San Diego just has, like you said, it has too many bad.
Oh wow, back to that. We really haven't left that.
What makes them bad people versus here? I'm just curious. Out of like why? How do you?
So
Is it like a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being, or like how are you determining bad? How do you define bad?
Maybe bad isn't the. Yeah, it's the way you define it. Thank you. Self-centered, self-righteous. Not a whole lot of that out here. I think there's a lot more selfless people out
Salt of the earth, Josh.
Sorry to interrupt. I know we're on a great roll right now, but are there any delivery instructions we should give to him?
No.
Okay.
803. Left door.
I'm just going to say knock the Spider-Man theme.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no.
I'm gonna track it with text notifications.
Nicky,
too.
what's the last like good movie or book you got involved in?
Avengers 2 was not a good movie that I watched. It was not a good movie.
Also,
all going negatives.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good.
A good book?
Make sure we're pointing this bad guy at you.
That was all the way back in high
Bye,
school.
Derek. Have a good night, man. Enjoy your poem.
Shh, don't address it.
Good movie though.
No, we can talk about the bad movies.
Bad movie.
if you want.
Avengers kind of let me down. Avengers let me down.
The end game, or you said 2?
The end game. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
the end game. I failed to.
I didn't see it, and I feel like this is actually a good topic because I don't get into first run theater movies very much at all for the value, but I think that Marvel movies are like the most formulaic, predictable, copied, just cut and paste movies, and they're just laughing all the way to the bank that people are still entertained with them.
Well, when did the first one come out? Maybe almost 10 years ago.
2003.
Yeah, Iron Man, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And we were a lot younger back then, and it was still new, kind of, and it was up and coming.
They were still trying to figure out how to represent a comic book in a movie. So do you remember when Hulk, the first one, came out? And they tried like putting comic book frames in the actual screen?
You're talking about the one not with Edward Norton. The one before that, 2000
whoever the actor was, but like it was so bad that they like redid it within like a year.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's try it.
The Incredible Hulk came out after that one.
Okay, so
that's the one.
They still didn't know exactly what to do with like, how do we put a comic book on the screen and make everybody love it? But they nailed it with Iron Man, and then they just milked it. But every single one is just, here's the origin story. So I'm a normal person, and then here's how you become a superhero, and then I'm gonna learn all about myself. I'm gonna go find some anonymous henchmen muggers in the street and beat them up and save an old lady. And then you're gonna meet the big villain, and it looks like I can't beat the villain. And then later on you beat the villain, and then here's the hint towards the sequel. Here comes villain number 2, or here comes my sidekick. It's all the same thing.
It's all the same.
Same thing. Doesn't matter if it's Ant-Man or Spider-Man, or here comes Falcon, here comes Black Panther. It's like, here's the intro, here's the problem, here's the solution. I don't know, I got a little tired of it, a little jaded.
Do you think the comics were sort of like that too? Because I mean, there's so many different issues.
I mean, I have to big confession is I'm not into the comics. So
okay, neither am I.
I'm totally biased, but I guess I just expect a little bit more originality. I thought Dark Knight was like the last really great comic book movie.
Great.
And especially The Dark Knight Rises was like, that was like the one.
Mm-hmm. With Bane.
Actually, the Joker one was to me the best.
Yeah, the Dark
Knight was the epitome of
the Dark Knight
last
was
great
like
superhero movie.
The last great superhero movie. And then, I mean, you saw him trying to bring back Superman and Batman, and it's like, they did it so poorly that they're going to have to like wait years before they put them back on screen and get all new actors and stuff, because nobody wants to watch that again.
Well, it must be tough too, because when you take a book into a movie, you're just going off of one book. But when you do the comic books, there's multiple issues. There's multiple different writers for different superheroes, so they have to sort of compile, every bit of it. But they're still doing what you're saying. There's the introduction. There's who am I? Oh, I'm a superhero. Let me do my small part. Oh, here comes the villain.
Yeah.
And then big superhero finish.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to admit too, with the whole Christian Bale Batman series, it wasn't like the formula was different. To me, they just somehow executed it really, really well. And Robert Downey Jr. was that too. He was like executing his stuff so good that you had to go see it, no matter how predictable it was. But at some point, it's like, the dude's gotta die. You gotta know that this whole thing's. It's like, there has to be a finish line. But you can't just keep stretching out the same exact actor for 15 years. And to me, this is like the most milked.
So you obviously haven't seen Endgame yet. Have you?
No. I know he dies. It's over. He has to die.
Spoiler.
If you haven't seen it by the time this hits YouTube, then you're not going to see it.
You already know.
You've already
If you don't know it by now.
Is Iron Man a vigilante? Or is Batman?
Let's talk about the ethics of superheroes.
My thing is, I don't know much about comics. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I'm curious to know, because obviously they were written during a different era, where things were probably a little more black and white. So that's why I think it's literally. That's why I think we run into these issues of because nowadays it's more accepted to be in that gray area.
Yes,
Seriously,
ethically.
though, like,
yeah.
so
And
like
also, no, you're right.
superhero movies where we
Yeah.
all know what's going to happen, which is why Game of Thrones, up until recently, was so sought after because it's like it's not black and white.
Yeah.
The characters do all sorts of stuff and it's a constant development between is this good, is this bad, and that was the new big thing, right?
Right.
And I have
That's why I think.
fully disclosed too, I didn't watch a single episode of that.
Oh boy,
Me neither.
This is going downhill.
However, when it comes to the fantasy movies, I don't know what Game of Thrones did, but most other movies still portray the bad people as like ugly, dirty, deformed, dark-looking beings. They're not like, this is Chris, he has a family, and he's just trying to fight for his land. You know, it's like they're barbaric and they're orcs or they're monsters. They're always they're always like beings they're punchable, right? You could kill them and not feel sorry. That's the whole. That's why they exist.
No,
Well,
you're
they
totally
have to
right,
get the
yeah.
audience to dislike them.
So
in
it's
some way,
and it's always just like that's. But I think it's still very black and white. And when you look at Avengers, it's like it's always going to be these ugly aliens. It's never like another planet just like us. And they all have wives and kids and families.
Sometimes they do right in like a small part of like where they're like, oh, but that supervillain, like you can understand why he's so mad. Like, have you seen The Incredibles? The Incredibles is
Hell yeah.
it's awesome, right? The Incredibles, and it doesn't come from a comic book. It's its
Right.
own movie. It's Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they have Marvel, so I don't know. That's just kind of weird.
Everything's Disney, dude. That's a safe bet.
Everything's Disney. So what's his name again? Synergy.
Syndrome.
Syndrome.
I did it.
Yes.
Sorry. No, I did the pizza.
Did you order the
We got
pizza by now?
That was
Oh,
I
awesome.
awesome. Process.
Awesome.
You did download an app and put in his social security number and
Yeah.
I came up with my own superhero, and his name is Super Hungry.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his enemy. Wait, what is it? No, Super Full.
Super cool.
It's
Super hungry could be a psychic maybe.
or something. Yeah, but his
Okay.
enemy is like unquenchable thirst.
Really? And are
That's as
these
far as I got.
are these?
That's as far as I got.
Did you do that just now?
No.
Well, we've got nothing but time. So.
Super full. And he
Okay.
just kind of like, for the most part,
How does he?
sort of just sits there. He's kind of
Does he always battle the unquenchable thirsty man, or does he go and fight other things? You know, like
Speaking of
bank
unquenchable
robbers
thirst.
and stuff like that.
he can't really. He's got to eat. It's
Yeah.
almost like, you know how Superman steps into a photo booth.
Yeah. This is like he gets strength from
We don't-
eating, or he just has to eat.
Oh, there we go. That would make more sense. It's his strength. No, I'm open to. I haven't fully developed this.
Well, that's what we're gonna do today.
Welcome to
Flesh
episode.
this out. Hey,
Super
I noticed
full.
you got 2 beers out. That was super cool of you, Josh.
Well, you didn't look super thirsty.
Gosh.
I got them for you and Nicky.
I don't know how to turn the notification off on this and still have volume, but I'm gonna try to just cut it there.
We're gonna have to edit this out. Anyway,
I thought you were gonna call the pizza man who's gonna be on the phone in the.
no,
You just a whole bunch of beers.
Yeah, I'll just put him. We can't sponsor him.
super thirsty.
Speaking of super thirsty, I thought you were gonna go to the bathroom. That's weird.
That was me too. I thought that was like the opposite.
There could be
No.
another super thirsty man's teammate could be always peeing.
We're always gonna go. Or
I don't
side
know.
effect.
You know, we'll have to talk about the market for what we're going after, but super full. He always has to eat, so he gets super full.
It's not good.
It's
It's not a good
it's-
market.
it sounds-
It's not large.
It sounds like it's just sort of like a gluttonous blob type guy.
Pretty much.
But
yeah.
that, you know,
I mean,
now we're talking about battling body image. You know, in the superhero world, they're always putting up these unrealistic expectations of what your body's supposed to look like. So here
Not
comes
the Incredibles too.
that's
right.
That's
And
CGI.
If you saw
I don't know if you've
Endgame-
seen that guy, but he's like the dad is just like a barrel.
If you all saw Endgame, Thor gets
Yeah.
fat.
Thor gets really fat.
Thor is a.
He looks like Big Lebowski. It's funny as hell.
It's
Actually,
actually
There's
sad.
good
It's
comments
really
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's already begun. So it turns out the super hungry or thirsty or whatever the hell the name is right on point.
Super full.
Super full.
Super full. Yeah, it's
Super
super
full.
full.
Super thirsty is also like his power is just like going to the tender, just like
Why is he? Why is he not a? He could be.
He's got lightning fast fingers that are always swiping right.
He's got like 4 phones and it's just 4 different accounts. Now that's brilliant. That's something that I have not thought to do yet. If you're listening out there and you're on Tinder, so Taylor, listen up. You don't go to multiple platforms like you get Highly and Tinder and Bumble, because then you just look desperate. Yeah, that's another one out there. All right, now you can't do that. You get 4 profiles on Tinder.
Yeah.
And you just log out and log in now, and it's just like a different arrangement, slightly different pictures. This one you're like professional you. This one over here you're like athletic sporty you. This one you're like the rock and roll you. Like this,
see what you
know,
lands.
like you got the Oakley Dokley and the hat on, and then the next one you got the suit, and you just work it.
That's a great idea.
idea.
Super thirsty. Apparently, I'm super.
Okay. Well, here I'm gonna help you out. Remember those old little plastic games where you had to move the square. There's only one square available and you do everything. You do that with your profiles. So you take a picture of you, and then each different profile is a small section of that, and you have to piece together the collage when you find all of your profiles.
So you're now you're the least accessible person.
You go.
You get a quarter of the picture. Okay, swipe left on that one.
I see what you're saying.
If you see a quarter, if you see a quadrant of
Is there a
someone's
way you
face,
can put them all together though?
Just the nose.
not a chance, no.
Oh.
Because they're gonna swipe left on just your eyeball, and then when they find just your chin, they're also gonna swipe left.
I did have a friend once who.
And then even if they get to the 4th one, they're like, oh, I'm a genius because this person's putting together a collage and a scavenger hunt for me. I guess it's not too late because then they just swipe right on just the one. But they'll never put your face together.
Doesn't that sound like something you would be interested in going out with? Someone intelligent
No, it sounds like...
and willing to dig a little deeper?
No, because it sounds like that person wants to be murdered. I heard Theo Von say recently in a podcast that he thinks women have a fantasy of wanting to be murdered. That was why they might like being tied up or like kind of.
So weird.
Yeah, dude.
There's nothing that backs that up.
I love that guy though. I love that guy.
Anyways, I like
Theo,
collage
if you
idea.
come to the show, man, I'll donate like $5,000 to charity for you.
There
Come
you
to
go.
my show,
Yeah.
man.
It'll be a tax write-off though. So,
Oh, Theo Vaughn. Now I recognize that name.
Theo
My
Vaughn.
coworker listens to his show and got tickets from him, or entered in with his funny voicemail.
He's coming
drunk
June
voicemail.
16th. I'm out of town.
Theo said he
I'll
was
be
going to
there.
give this guy tickets, and he never gave him the tickets. Theo never coughed up the tickets. Sorry, Theo.
All right, so new rule: you come to my show and you make good on the tickets.
There we go.
everything's cleared up.
Unfortunately, I can't see it June 16th. I would love to do it. I don't know why I'm talking like you're going to be watching this, but
Where are you going to be?
Amsterdam.
Oh, that's right.
So it's kind of a it's a big
Are you
one.
going
It's
to?
basically the same thing. No.
Okay, so let's get back. Let's
Yeah.
move
Let's
on from
redirect.
super full, super thirsty. Let's put them on the back burner.
Back to Tinder though.
I think put Tinder back on the burner. Let's talk about the ethics though of superheroes. So
Right.
you kind of mentioned worldview. Now we're going full circle. And when I say mention, I mean in our conversations before all this. So
Self-righteous.
would
selfish.
you rather?
Would you rather? Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna extend the superhero to your nation's leader. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is a what if scenario, not
So San Diego's leader, who's
not your actual nation's leader.
What's his name again? Carl DeMaio.
So would you rather live under the ruling of a benevolent tyrant or a democratic but mob type group?
Oh, okay.
Not one person. We're talking about a democratic society that votes, but like they're always corrupt and don't have your interests. But at least you get to vote. Or you live in a city that is, votes on everything against what you like.
Oh. Who you
Because then it's not like they're evil, but it's like this is whatever you vote. You live in Oklahoma and you're Democratic.
It's a classic greater good
I
argument.
move here. I don't like people here, and they don't, or not.
Yeah,
I don't like people, but we don't agree on the same thing.
So in that situation, you have a democracy where your input means nothing, or it always goes against you. Or would you rather live under a benevolent tyrant? That's the Superman character, is a benevolent tyrant.
Oh,
no one can stop him. He can do anything he wants.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He's under no one's authority. All right, sorry, I rambled. Answers.
That is a tough one. I think I mean, honestly, I know that if I was in the situation, I would Al Gore it and just flip-flop back and forth. Like, for some things, I would be like, oh, I wish I had a say in this. And for other things, I would be like, oh yeah, thanks for doing all that for us.
No, you gotta pick one situation.
I know, I gotta pick one. I get it. I would go... Boy. I would go with a benevolent tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that if things are good, no one's going to say anything. What happens is if things start to go bad, that's when people are like, we should have a say in all this shit.
All the people that aren't benevolent or line up with whatever his morality is or her morality or that oligopoly, whatever the ruler is. If benevolence is like an assumed you align with what they think is always good and right. They always have the right and just thing in mind. Mm-hmm. That's the Superman situation, the Superman argument of like, well, how do you know what he wanted was the right thing?
Yeah.
And you don't get any say. There's never a debate. It's just that whatever that person says is right, that's right.
Ooh, see, that's tough.
So now you have a whole group of people who disagree with him. You think he's benevolent, I guess, but...
Yeah.
Every decision has a group that likes and dislikes that decision.
Here's my answer. If I knew that this benevolent tyrant, like, even if I disagreed, if I knew that they somehow knew that it was totally right, then I would say yes. Mm-hmm. If, for whatever reason, there was doubt that this person... Wow, that's a bad answer. Damn it. I would have to go with the democracy then.
Oh.
You changed your mind?
Totally switched up.
Okay.
I talked myself.
Well,
I flip-flopped. I Al Gored it back into it.
No,
all right, over to Nicky here.
Yeah.
Time's up.
Well, it's interesting because I was going to just simply agree with what you said and go with benevolent tyrant. Mm-hmm. That was going to be my answer, hands down. But it really depends who you're asking, and I see myself as somebody who wants to help people. So given the opportunity, if I can be a part of this democracy and be up there, even if you have a majority that's corrupt, you can still have the minority that can maybe somehow influence others. Because I feel like that's what we have. We pretty much have that now.
You're hopeful for it.
Yeah. Exactly. You hope. You have to hope that these people want to help us. The people who lead us. So,
my answer if I'm younger and I have more optimism and more energy, I think, of course you want that democracy. Mm-hmm. And then the older I get and the more jaded and sort of I think mature that I get, I'm like, I don't even think everybody should be able to vote because
I agree.
And then I start thinking let's just pick the smartest person.
Yeah, there you go.
Let them pick two more people. Call it good.
That's interesting because it's a classic Game of Thrones scenario.
Is it really?
Oh, is it? Based on the final episode,
How?
that was actually pretty spot on.
Really?
So yeah.
Because we keep letting everybody vote, and it's like, how come people who have a degree didn't make it out of college or are on meth and in recovery programs or just robbed a bank recently? Maybe that guy doesn't get to vote for a while, but everybody gets to vote. Everybody's vote matters the exact same.
I struggle with that as well.
What about the people who read about politics all the time? Let them have just a little more weight. That's not me.
Sure.
I want people who are smarter than me, more successful than me, making decisions.
Yeah, I struggle with that as well. I think you bring up a really good point in that I think you should have to pass a test to vote.
Oh, wow.
I think you should have
idea.
it doesn't have to be a difficult test.
No.
But a test simply showing that, I actually read anything about this candidate
Yeah.
instead of like voted party or voted what I think the party stands for.
Yeah.
I think you should have to pass a test to vote.
Oh my gosh.
But
You're
at the
going
same
somewhere.
time,
That's
I
great.
think you also like it's difficult because access to education is not fluid throughout the United States.
And
So it's this weird.
And you get into all kinds of. So the opposition to it is like, all right, well, what language is that test in? And
Exactly.
And just because someone's uneducated doesn't mean like, especially at the local level.
Well, and that's another thing too. If you're
If you're
uneducated,
still
you
a human,
still
you
have
still
the
have
right
rights.
to
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, and
to
you could
say
attend-
what you think as an uneducated person.
You could attend a campaign and hear
if-
what that person has
exactly
to say
totally
too.
and be influenced that way.
And
Yeah.
if a majority were just like that person, then that whatever that majority thought is now the rule.
I really like
So
that.
to
That's
me,
awesome.
it's like when
It's interesting.
it gets to the
great
local
idea.
level, it gets even more impactful. So like, but choosing between just two people who are like figureheads of a whole party platform,
Exactly.
that doesn't make a huge difference.
voicemail from Pizza Hut.
I'm just gonna turn and look over here. But when it gets to like a local level of like, what do you want to do with property tax money? You know, how much do we put in school? How much do we put in roads? How much do we put in the parks?
Local.
Now it's like the rubber meets the road, and like a community is being shaped. Do I really want like people who don't understand finances like voting on finances?
Exactly.
Do I really want people who don't have like?
You're right.
I don't have a kid in school. Should I have voting impact on what elementary schools do and what they get and what we pay the teachers? Like, I don't have any impact other than like they're raising and teaching my neighbors. This was interesting to me a little bit.
Well, and people without an interest in that, are you saying they still go out and vote and their vote
Yeah.
kind of just throws everything off balance? Or
I go out
would
and
you-
vote, on like who the treasurer is for the state, and I don't know the name or anything. I just there's an R and a D, and you can pick, or like, yeah. So to me, it's like it's interesting. I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way, but I think it's a fascinating system when everyone's ideas are considered equal, because ideas are not equal. Ideas have quality to them. You know, if you're talking about running a personal budget, some ideas are horrible for how to run your personal finances. Some ideas are great and other ideas are similar, and then there are really, really bad ideas. So you just extend it up to a country level. It's like there is a such thing as really bad ideas, and there are such things as really bad, like unprepared, uneducated people going into things. I'm not extremely educated when it comes to voting. I don't want my vote to have an incredible amount of weight. I want the votes of like the analysts and the readers and the thinkers and the people who got degrees in law and stuff like that. Like I want those people to have a little more impact, a little more weight.
And just to say, because in case anybody would even think, you're not shaming anybody else like who doesn't know any of that stuff or hasn't taken the time to educate themselves. It's just like their vote just shouldn't carry as much weight as those people that you mentioned.
Or I just think that it's fascinating that it does carry the same amount of weight.
Well,
I don't even know that
that's a
I'm
good
fully ready to say full on like it shouldn't, because
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I haven't
You're
really
just-
fleshed this whole thing out in a full thought yet.
Okay, what is an example question, if we go with Josh's
Of, like,
idea,
a test?
What is his example question on that test? On that same test, give me
Yeah, I mean, I think even just knowing like the number of states in the country.
something easy. Because it doesn't have to
Or-
be too complex, but it has to be like, are you paying attention?
Or just do you have a GED or high school graduate degree? Like, do you have a job? Have you been convicted? No, felony they already address. But like, are you currently on any kind of probation or any kind like, have you been in possession of illicit drugs or like charged with anything and to do with like illicit drugs in the past? I don't know. Some
It's
sort
like
of
a job application almost.
some sort of clearing too, like, and I guess a good question, let's say to like the legalization of marijuana, like you're moving to make something that is illegal in places, not illegal in places. So
Legal.
your vote, not illegal. So you're voting like people who've been arrested for marijuana should be able to vote on this issue because you're now talking about it becoming legal. And it's like if you wash out a bunch of people who can no longer vote, or if like the questionnaire had to do with like illegal drugs, you're like, well, wait a second, and we're trying to make these drugs legal now. So like, if I'm a part of the crowd who thinks they should be legal because I've been on heroin, then I still should be able to get to vote on whether or not heroin's legal.
Get this on camera because
Oh,
this shit's crazy. So we just had a...
Shit is crazy. Oh my god.
I just had a really serendipitous moment with the Pizza Hut there.
Where is the pizza?
He's like, I totally forgot the pizza in the car.
Here we go.
No, so I ordered it online, and granted, I'm not the most tech-savvy gentleman on the planet, but I gave him a call back because I was like, oh, they might be outside, but no one is outside. I was like, oh, shit. So I called them, and they answered, and they were like, Pizza Hut, American Falls, how can we help you? So American Falls is a small town in Idaho about 3 hours east of here.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that my grandfather and my mother consequently grew up there.
Consequently.
Yeah.
Consequences of what, Josh?
One thing leads to another. They grew up there, and I have tons of ties there, and they're like, Pizza Hut American Falls, how can I help you? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm actually calling because you just gave me a call, and I really hope that like you aren't trying to deliver to Boise. And they're like, oh yeah, we're about 4 hours away, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh no, I know exactly where you are. Like half of my family lives there. And I was like, I'm a Faringer, my mom's maiden name. I'm a Faringer. And he goes, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm your cousin. And I was like, yup, you probably are.
That's great.
So I met my cousin tonight, probably his second cousin or
On the
cousin once
phone.
removed, on the phone for the first time just now.
So where's the pizza?
They transferred the order to down the road, so
Can
we're
they
all
do
good
that?
to go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They
What
can
do you
do
mean we're
that.
good to go? There's no pizza here.
Well, it's not my problem.
Yeah, it is. It's your
Cousin-
problem.
I just found the solution. The pizza's transferred, the order's coming.
Why did you call Idaho Falls?
American Falls. It was online. I did everything online. And I probably screwed it
Okay.
up somehow. I don't know.
Okay.
Either way, pizza's coming. And it's late.
Good news is, if you like this pizza, the next time you go to American Falls, you and your cousin can go out and he can,
Yeah, we can go hang.
hook you up with a free.
With my cousin I met for the first time. It sounds weird, like it's like, oh, you should know your cousins and all that stuff. It's probably like a cousin once removed or a second cousin or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But my mom literally, so it's a farm family. Big ol', like everyone was a farmer and all this stuff. So my mom literally has 63 first cousins.
63?
So aunts and uncles' kids.
Yeah,
It's like
wait a second.
I could do the
So,
math.
say the
she is
average.
one of six.
If the average
Kids.
is 6 per, that
Oh,
means
I was gonna say
there'd be
8.
10 at the top level.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
But you said there's 6. She's one of 6. Does her aunts and uncles have 10? Aunts and uncles have.
Well, she's got like 7 or 8 or 10 sets of aunts and uncles.
We don't even know
All have
anymore.
X amount
They're
of
just
kids.
they're
Yeah.
undocumented
And
at
that's
this
what I'm
point.
saying,
We just
yeah.
don't even know.
This is why we need to test to vote, because there's just so many people out there that
There are a ton of people. Ton of people.
we just need to narrow it down.
All I'm saying is that was very serendipitous, and I'm
Excellent. All I'm saying is
because I've literally never
Pizza.
ordered from Pizza Hut
Pizza.
in my
It's
entire
been-
life.
Pizza.
it's been 32 minutes according to
It used to be
GarageBand.
30 minutes or
And-
less.
And no pizza. But it did take you a good 7 minutes to order the pizza. We'll look back at the
That was a
footage.
nightmare,
See if
dude.
that's true. But so, new line of questioning, Nikki. You wake up tomorrow. You're in charge of the whole world.
Oh wow.
Anything you say will be obeyed. What's the first thing you want to do to make the world a better place?
Ooh, wow. That much power.
Or, I mean, I'm making an assumption. I know a little bit about you. I know you're a good guy. You want to help people. So I said, make the world a better place. I'll give you the lateral freedom to go ahead and destroy the world or do something for personal gain if you wish.
The
But
5 Infinity Stones.
you've got,
Snap my
you
finger.
sit on the throne
Reduce the
of
population
Earth.
by half
So what do you want to do?
in an instant.
Give everybody water. Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody water.
Except California.
So people, except California, they're already in a drought. Like
Especially San Diego, dude. You know who believes the most in global climate change and rising sea levels. The people who live on the coast.
On the coast, who see it every year.
It's just, I mean, if you just bought a house in freaking LA, I don't want to hear you tell me about rising sea levels because that's your house. All right, next.
Rant over.
All right, so
Draw conclusions as you will.
I'm king of the or what did you
You're ruler of the whole world. You can do whatever you want.
world.
First
For just
order of business.
one day.
So you said your initiative was to give people water. What are you gonna do? What's your thing? How are you gonna do it?
Oh, I have to do it. I kind of thought
Yeah,
it was
well,
just done.
You don't get to snap your fingers. You gotta initiate some sort of action
That's tough.
policy. Go ahead.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna change my answer a little bit.
There you
Okay.
go.
Sorry, thirsty people.
Everybody, get ready because everybody's gonna fast for one day.
Really? Okay.
We're all gonna just take a break and not eat because not everybody because there's some people who need
Who literally have to or are
that's a
dying in
good point.
hospitals.
Okay, but you're gonna recommend that everyone fasts, or you're gonna.
Yeah, something to cleanse. Because if you didn't notice, I'm just going for the body, the water to stay hydrated.
Okay.
Just kind of pure.
Why
kinda
would
flushes
the
system.
fast be better than giving everyone water?
So
Seems like water is more important
Well,
than.
the water, I have to do something, and the fast, I'm just putting out there. I'm just
He's not
putting it
wrong.
out.
if this guy, I didn't realize I had to
What would you do, Rich?
Well, how do you get water to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, well, you would start. So let's say we want to accomplish that.
Evian.
You're gonna have
3%.
I'm thinking you're gonna start a well drilling team. You're gonna basically use
that's a good
militaries to just go around and drill wells like crazy. You're gonna use a whole bunch of money and just go.
You're right.
So you're gonna spend a crap ton of money on just drilling wells and purifying water in areas that don't have it. That's kind of what I was thinking, and then maybe even investing in indoor plumbing for a lot of places.
I think I'm more curious as to the why. That's definitely a more practical thing.
Yeah,
But I'm curious as to why, as all of a sudden you have supreme power over all things.
Yeah.
Your first choice. Why would your first choice be water?
Me is on the spot, so.
I am a plumber by trade.
Hey!
Okay. So
Bingo.
So he's gonna give the contract to his
exactly.
patio.
That's genius.
Whitewater Plumbing. Now I already have the name and everything.
Oh, boy.
I
So you're gonna start your own plumbing
Just so happens
company.
we're entrepreneurs.
You're
So.
you're gonna start a plumbing company to plumb the entire world under your
yeah,
own.
just
And then-
one PVC pipe that goes all the way
take
around.
the money.
The trans world pipeline. It's just.
You're already ruler of the whole world, and you're gonna make money as a plumber on the contract.
Yep. You were gonna have.
Man, he's a goddamn genius.
Well, because I asked you earlier, I was like, "Am I ruler just for the one?" You
Right.
wake up tomorrow. Am I
Yeah.
already a ruler?
Yeah. Everybody recognizes your authority. It's all sovereign.
I've just signed the document. I'm a plumber for the whole world.
Yeah, you're the
He
world.
just made himself
You
the
are the
world's
world
plumber.
And
You're a
check
super
it out.
plumber, dude.
97% of that water. Wait, what is it? 3% of that water is pure drinking water.
Okay.
97%.
Yeah, but I
is
mean,
like
oceans
dirty,
are pretty big.
nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And that's where that number primarily comes from.
It's kinda
oceans are
skewed.
really big.
You're right.
75% of the earth.
It is covered in water.
All right. So,
What would you do, Reg?
I've thought about this question before.
I went for water.
And my original answer to the first time I thought about this was enacting really strict punishment for crime.
That is a crazy answer.
Really?
Everyone is going to commit some sort of crime.
I'm talking about all right, this goes. Hear me out a little bit.
Okay.
My thought process is
I'll be patient.
old school society of cut your hand off for theft.
Hand for
Like,
hand,
s-
eye
like-
for an eye.
Yep.
Whipping and beating and getting back to some brutal stuff. And this would only be for severely obviously convicted and taken to trial, you get your chance, but no more just chilling in prison, we gonna mess you up, that sort of thing. I don't really know why I'm drawn to that, other than I think that it should help clean up some of the act.
I'm going to Mahatma Gandhi you on this one and say that an eye for an eye makes the
Gandhi.
whole world blind.
Makes the whole world blind.
Wow, well said.
So I would respectfully disagree with
you
that.
think there's a whole lot of enlightenment going on in prisons?
I think the first thing I would do mean, I don't think that I mean, that's the prison system is an entirely different topic.
Okay, but my answer involves the prison system.
Sure. Yeah.
It's definitely connected.
So my thing is, it's a mentality, right? If you chop off someone's hand, they still have another hand to commit crime. If you chop off the other hand, they still have a brain to commit crime. It's like Scarface didn't need a hand to.
Okay,
So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I get it's shocking.
So, but guess, I mean, I'm talking about in put, strict crime punishments. So, what do you think the extent of that is?
Reduce.
No, what do you think as I'm talking about strict crime punishment? That there's gonna be a lot of death. There's gonna be a lot of death. Rape, punishable by death. Mm-hmm. Especially like rape of a child,
Totally.
or
Totally.
like crazy messed up like manslaughter type stuff, like
Absolutely.
death,
Absolutely.
death. Like I'm gonna sound like a lunatic on this episode, but I'm just thinking that we just keep people in little hamster cages for doing the most messed up stuff for a sense of like ethical, like morality,
Yeah,
justice,
totally.
whatever.
Well,
and then equally like eroding the base of that ethical foundation. You want to keep this person alive for some sort of like some sort of esoteric, ethical, or religious or moral purpose, and then meanwhile society is just eroding all of it, saying like, no, none of that matters. Do whatever you want, and like we're over here, we're like anything goes.
Sure.
And then over here, it's like, I don't know about putting this guy down for raping 6 people. It's like
Putting him down. Like,
no, man.
No, I totally see where you're coming from. I'm not arguing against it. I'm saying, I guess and here I'm going to throw a little bit of a wrench in the cogs here.
Yeah.
I say neither of you are thinking deep enough.
Okay.
I think, and I might not even be thinking deep enough myself.
Okay.
But the thing that I would do is I would either eradicate religion, or I would make everyone follow one religion.
All right. Which one are you gonna do?
Which one religion? Well, you're the ruler.
That's
so
up to. You know what I mean? Like,
First of all, I want to suggest that you're not the first person to think of that.
Totally.
And that's what most of the wars are involved.
shoot.
Like,
Well, and that's what I'm
No,
saying.
you guys should probably follow our religion. Coming in hot.
bingo, right?
Wow.
And so
Because
you're
it's-
literally the Hitler of the world at this point.
I'm not the Hitler of the world.
That's exactly what he wanted to do.
Well,
Okay.
but you haven't executed what Hitler did. Hitler said something and then did something else. I feel like Hitler was a liar.
Sure.
He had an idea like yours, which is coming from a.
Let him explain
Sorry.
why he's not Hitler.
It has less to do about the whole Hitler thing, which I mean
That's gonna make it onto the 1 minute sizzle reel.
that's really hard for
Just a clip.
perfect German Aryan boy
All right.
to go against this argument.
Aryan, German. What was your mom's maiden name? Fahrenheit
Yeah,
or something?
Fahringer. My last name is Letzinger.
Okay.
Stems from Leitzinger, which is the
Leitzinger is going to explain why the world needs to
Like
follow
3%
one religion.
Jew.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, so I think it has less. I think we're actually kind of getting back to this is
Superhero?
coming full circle.
Full circle like a pizza.
Yeah, like actually the pizzas that we order are square, so the analogy is
Oh, jeez. That's why I'm here, because I'm the fucking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it has to do with the moral compass of everything. It's like, why would I commit a crime? Why would I do something? Because some higher being or some sort of morality says that this is okay, this is not. If we take away all of that, and I'm not saying it's going to work perfectly.
There's going to be some hiccups.
I mean, with all of our ideas, there are going to be hiccups.
Yeah.
But like, if you take away the idea, I personally believe everyone is good at heart.
That's
What
great.
do you need? You need shelter, you need food, water, and you need exactly, which is what you guys are saying.
Not a plumber.
You need shelter.
I'm trying to give you
food,
safety.
Water, and
Safety.
in my
that's a
opinion,
good-
community.
Uh-huh.
So you need
I'm trying to make
four
community
things.
better
That's right.
by getting rid of the bad apples.
That's
I
right.
agree, but if you take away these things that segregate people, if you take away stuff that is segregating,
If we're all on the same page, we're
if
all
we
in
all
alignment,
have
then
shelter,
there'll be
we all
less-
have food, we
there'll be
all
less
have water,
opposition
and we all have
violence.
community, then there is no
Yeah.
need to commit a crime. There is no need for people to be searching for clean water.
Yeah.
Because our basic instincts will say, in order for our species to survive, We need these things.
Yeah.
This is how we do
But
it.
isn't there an sorry?
Do you think that was one of the versions in the Matrix they tried? Wasn't just injecting the same religion in everyone's brain to see if it
God, I
would work?
really wish. I think that would be a great new
That could
three-part
be
trilogy.
That could be a good movie for sure.
That Keanu Reeves could make a
'Cause-
few appearances in.
and
I mean, he's still doing John Wick, so
can-
why can't you bring him back?
You can definitely imagine a scenario where your plan's hard to implement, right?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, it's purely utopian. It's purely utopian. But
Yeah.
it describes what I think we all should do. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do these things. But if everyone is always content, like if there's always a fallback on, I have shelter, I have food, I have water, I have community, then I can, no matter what happens to me, no matter what I do, I can fall back on those basic human instincts.
But we don't have all that stuff. No, not everybody has it. That's why when I'm ruler for the day, I'm like, okay, who doesn't have water? Raise your hand. Who are the people who do have plentiful?
Well, then why are you living in an area that doesn't have water? That's my Like,
actually,
nobody all of a sudden is like, I'm going to move to Nevada and not be able to like drink water.
and plum.
No one lived in
plumbing.
fucking Nevada before we had plumbing and we had ways to get water there. Like, no offense to Nevada, but like
Or Native
certain
Americans.
pockets or areas. Well, no, because they traveled with the seasons, with the food, with the water.
Yeah.
Like their home was there.
Yeah.
It was mobile. But you look at every
hopefully.
yeah, mobile homes. You look at every single like massive culture or people that sprung up. The only like the number one thing that big cities are revolved around was water.
Water, yeah, rivers.
A water source.
Mostly
a
rivers,
river,
yeah.
a lake.
Well, and how could you plumb that water? How could you move
How could you
that
plumb
water?
that water?
How
Well,
could
and
you do
that's
that?
what got us. And that's what got us in
Plumbers.
trouble.
A good plumber is
Is
what-
because it's now I can send this water to
Foundation
the
of the city.
desert, and now we have Las Vegas.
Plumbers changed human nature
For the negative.
from nomadic naturalists into these sort of stationary, ungodly creatures that
Ungodly.
that defy nature and are like, I determine where water is, and it's in my house.
I
Plumbers
agree.
did
I
that.
agree entirely with that statement.
How do you feel about that?
Between plumbers and roads, they ruined this entire world.
Roads or railroads?
Road builders,
Oh.
roads, yeah. Exchange of ideas and
locomotive.
information.
Don't get me started on the internet.
No, you're right. You're right.
Internet's just a vehicle.
Water is such a powerful thing. Like how it can erode rock. You know,
Is that what led you to be a
It
plumber?
eroded the rock of our society.
we
Exactly.
can, this much water can kill you. You know what I mean? Like you can drown in a teaspoon, whatever they say. You know, the tides, even the global warming.
How much water? We could probably try this on camera. See if we can
Water.
kill you with a
No, you can
teaspoon of
drink.
water.
You
Just
can
make sure it's some of this liquor and
You
I'll try anything.
can drown yourself. You can drink. You can drink a gallon of water or more than that, and you can kill yourself. There's distilled water.
No, he's not
There's-
wrong. There's a lady
that she died.
The Weepy.
Contest, radio
Yeah,
contest thing.
there's a radio
A
contest.
radio contest?
Yeah.
Did they get charged with anything?
Oh yeah.
Involuntary
Did they?
manslaughter?
Yeah, they
it was
did.
like who
Yeah,
can drink
it
the
was-
most water, and she drowned all her
Without
internal
pee.
organs.
And she literally
without peeing.
She peed
don't
inside.
Pee, it's don't pee for a week.
Did she pee
That was
inside
what it
her
was.
body?
Wow, I heard of it.
Did pee inside her body?
Well, that's why she
Dead,
died
for
because she
sure.
held it, and so it's like, okay, this is like we have nowhere for this.
So
to
she
go.
went septic.
She literally died from drinking too much water.
It sounds like she died from not getting rid of. I'm not a doctor.
Water is amazing. It falls from the sky. It takes on a gaseous state. It takes on a
gaseous
solid
state, dude.
It takes on a solid. Water is incredible, and we need it to survive.
Water
and
is
we're
literally a life force.
And we're, what are we?
Yeah.
70% water.
I think more than that. However,
just over 70%.
you know, that's a
7.3,
deceiving.
I
That's a
believe.
deceiving number because like H2O might be involved, but what we're talking about is plasma. We're talking about stuff
that's bizarre.
inside of cells. You're not like it's not like
We're not.
It's not like a cup of
Yeah.
water. Like if you just like wring your arm out, you'll get water. It's
Yeah.
like liquid and moisture, but it's not. It's not like drinking water. inside
Thank
the
you for
body.
clearing that up, because when you say it like that, people are like, "Oh yeah, like we're built of
It's just
water."
water.
Like you just zoom in and you're like, oh, it's water.
yeah, like it's like in stuff.
Oh, no.
I don't know how you get it out. I'm not a doctor.
No, yeah, it's well, okay. So Old Testament says water used to spring up from the ground. Old Testament says we're actually made of dirt. Like what? You know what I mean? Like all this. What?
Not terribly untrue. All things that are organic are made of the same things. It's just carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and that's mostly it.
We're digging a new high school. We're digging the dirt. We're digging the dirt for the underground for plumbing.
And you're gonna put that plumbing in that concrete, dude.
It's pretty wild. The dirt, though. I lift up the dirt and I just put it in my hand and I'm like, we grow food from this.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like,
Josh is actually
Sorry to interrupt y'all, but we just got the big dinner box.
Josh is actually a bit of a doctor himself, sort of pre-med guy. We've talked about ATP synthase before, and
Oh, yeah.
not on the show, but
That's exciting stuff.
yeah. So we're 50 minutes in. What do you want to do here? Do you want to wrap
Let's
it
take a
up
quick
and then
pizza break.
eat pizza?
Or do we want to wrap it up?
I mean, we can keep going, but I feel like we're just sort of
I wanted to get to art.
We're
art.
rambling out.
All right, let me pause. That's exactly the
Really?
question I was going to start with.
More chickens than people.
Are there more chickens than people?
Yeah, that makes sense because more chickens probably die in a day
To feed more people.
to feed more people.
I don't know. I mean, I would argue it's close. What are we at now? Like 7 billion on the planet?
Let's
I
just
thought it was 6 or 8.
let's just each take a guess.
7 sounds.
Seven's probably an old number.
the average.
Seven's an old number. let's do some actual googling.
Okay.
So you said what? 7? I'm gonna
I
say
think
I'm gonna say
I'm around
7.4 right now.
I was going to say 6.4.
6.4. A lot of people died in Nicky's world.
How many people are there on the planet? 7.53 billion.
Okay. So I was the closest.
According to
Well
the
said.
World Bank 2017.
Ooh, the
and
world.
according to Rich. And I said 7.4. So I was the closest without going over. So I
Okay.
win.
Price.
So, now, how many do you think? I think the simple question is just take a multiplier of chickens to people, and then that's her number. I think it's 3 chickens to one person, so I think it's 21 billion chickens.
Ooh, that's a lot of chickens. How many chickens per people?
3 to person? I'm going to say like, I'll say 4. Because
So
that
now you
shows
gotta
pretty-
ask how many chickens are alive at one time?
I'm gonna think. I think it's fewer than that.
Because the
I
population.
think it's 1.35 chickens per people.
All right, do that,
Hey
man.
Google, how many chickens are there per person on the
So like
planet?
for every 5 people.
There are approximately 19 billion chickens in space.
Oh, I
It worked.
I went over.
That's a little over 2 chickens per person on Earth. They've done the research. Google's amazing.
So are you saying that
They're like
Google
graph.
actually gave you a number per person of chickens?
They
Yeah, they
literally
showed
me
him a
this study.
graph too.
There are 19 billion. That's approximately just over
Yeah.
2 chickens per people.
So I went over, but I mean, come on, that was pretty accurate stuff. That was some pretty estimating.
you went over. I was closer.
1.35.
You said 3. Okay, you were barely closer, but you went over. I said 1.35. That's like 1, and you
Yeah,
were
he
at
gets that.
it's just over 2, which is we can only assume is 0.9.
What?
3
Here
to
we go.
just over 2 is about.
You said
0.9.
1.35 times 7 billion. 9.
We're about exactly the same.
9.45 billion chickens. It was your guess.
Oh yeah,
You're
that's
off by
way
10 billion chickens. I'm off by 2 billion chickens.
Yeah, when you make the numbers that big.
Now, are chickens native to a certain part of the world?
China.
Really? All right.
How many of those?
chickens are from China?
Are chickens native to a certain country?
Now we need like a percentage. 50% of all the chickens that live on Earth are in China.
No, they're everywhere now. They're going to be proportionately distributed by person population.
Okay, they didn't do as Google did not do as.
Just say like, what country are chickens from?
You can just throw that out there like that.
And as opposed to whatever you just asked Google. All right, Nikki. Art. What do we need to talk about? What do we need to know about art?
Well, I was thinking about how today, actually, it's really funny. Everything that I've thought of today at work, we've touched
Southeast
on so far.
Asia.
The superheroes, Southeast Asia.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Thank you. I've been there. I think they're pretty proud of it. Hey, you guys like chicken? You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt, Nicky. Continue.
Yeah, you're like, they just walk around being like, hey, you're welcome for chicken, people. The whole world.
Did it say how many are there, or like a percentage, or no?
Of what?
Chickens.
In the world?
No, he's thinking like distribution, like one area of the world would have more chickens.
yeah, no.
I don't think it's going to be like that. I think certain areas that are like
It's going to take a much more detailed
bad,
search.
like bad climates for chickens are going to be like Russia or the tundra,
Mm-hmm.
and then everywhere else is going to be distributed like proportionally to where people are.
Well, and I say that because I saw a meme and I thought it was hilarious. It was like people who are vegetarians eat plants. Plants produce oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
People who eat meat eat chicken. Chickens produce
Chickens.
Yeah, but their droppings are like
Methane.
yeah. There we go. Is that it?
It is.
Well, no. Our droppings do not release methane.
Well, what
It's like
releases
nitrogen
the
and
bad
good-
gas? Yeah.
Good soil. Bad gas is methane.
Mm-hmm. Nitrogen is good for the soil, so they're not going to be talking about that.
I think that was just a stupid meme then, huh?
It was for
It was
sure.
a
All
stupid
right, let's
meme.
get to art.
This is bad meme.
That was a bad
So
meme.
we get it, yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately,
Too bad.
memes cannot be counted as like good
Art?
scientific quality information
No.
these days.
Yeah. Sorry.
They definitely
Wow.
are art, though.
It's an art. It's a form of art.
I'll give yeah.
I would say art is a way to express yourself, but it's also a form of communication. So, for instance, like music, paintings, drawings, that's all a way to communicate. Things like how you feel, or just a message
Yeah.
that includes, or may not include how you feel. So, and I dated this way back to the first thing I thought of was the cave drawings. How maybe a language barrier existed, and then this is how they communicated, was through art or through writing, or something like that. Even poetry is art, right? Poetry is art, so the way you use
I mean, it's a really
words-
broad stroke, so like even math at this point becomes art because you're communicating a concept or an idea.
Math is beautiful. Math is like constant. It's constant. Math is constant, and
The
that's what's-
highest form of art.
and complex too, because a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't understand
Let's
it.
start backwards. What's not art?
What's not communication? Just absent. Abstinence is not art.
Smart.
I guess like
heard it here first,
just
bro.
like taking yourself out of the picture.
Here's a question.
Picture's worth 1,000.
There is a very famous piece called, it's called something ridiculous. It's like Red Hawk flying through the night sky or some bullshit like that. I don't know what the fuck it is. Can't remember the name of it. But it's literally a blank white canvas.
No.
I swear to God.
No.
I swear to God. We can Google that shit.
So I saw a blank white canvas at the New York Metropolitan Art Museum.
He saw it firsthand.
It wasn't called Red Hawk at Night or whatever.
But it was called something that was like, this is blank white canvas.
It was
like
it was
I
in,
didn't
it was
do
in the
anything.
minimalism exhibit, and it was the whole point was like it was
So-
a statement on that minimalism had reached its culminating point.
And
What could be more minimalist than a white canvas?
and the
geez,
point
someone
being,
had to
like,
really-
of course they were going for everything. Like the title is like, you name it some. I'm obviously showing my bias right now. You name it some janky ass bullshit. That's like,
Sure.
oh, this is me doing laundry on a Saturday morning, and it's a blank white canvas, which
Yeah,
means
with the
I'm
contractual
not doing laundry on a Saturday. Like, I get it.
Oh, that makes
I
sense.
understand what you're trying to say, but for
Do you?
real, like, yeah, exactly.
Do you feel?
Do you? did I evoke the right emotion in you? It's like, no, you literally hung up a fucking white campus, and now you're expecting me to like infer all of this stuff on something that you spent zero time on.
But what are you talking about right now?
Exactly.
How come
you're talking about that piece?
I think there's a threshold, though, is what I'm trying to say.
That man or woman put something on that wall that made you talk about it for years. Years later, you're sitting here at this table talking about that work. Well, and I'll say it this way. How many people can do an Eddie Vedder impersonation?
Everyone.
But who's saying like Eddie Vedder first? Eddie Vedder. And so who gets away with it? Not Nickelback. But it's alright.
They've got their own sound and it's garbage.
But it's alright to be Pearl Jam. Well, everybody's like, I can sing like that, but you didn't. I can hang up a blank canvas on the wall. First of all, maybe you couldn't. You might not have the clout to do that. And second of all, you didn't.
Yeah.
So there's something there about like,
Well, so is it the clout to do it, or just like it's some rando? Can I go take a blue canvas
No, it's
and go
political.
put it up there?
There's an art community.
there's for sure a community. And
There's
like,
a curator.
you want to get
who's
something
like,
hung up on an important wall?
Yeah.
For sure. It's about who you are. You
Absolutely.
can't just make a great painting of someone and then have someone respect it. You gotta have a history. You gotta have like
What else did you do? What else?
representation.
Sure.
Because they're honestly to this exact point, it's like there's a sincerity to it. So there's vetting that goes on. They're like, you can't come in here and troll this community. Like, we know who you are. We know who Andy Warhol is and what he's about and his work, and we've studied his work for years. We know his life.
You know,
We know that Van Gogh put his ear in a box and sent it to his girlfriend. Why do we know that? Because like the community was so vested in this
so
guy, and
wild.
like you can't just paint a bunch of swirls and call it a painting and us respect it.
That's all well and good.
she was probably like, you don't listen enough. It's like, you know what?
Oh yeah.
Here.
Here.
Yeah, talk all you want.
I think that translates over to the music industry too. It's like
because
you have
there's
the
no
most-
one-hit wonders.
Oh, you
Sure.
better believe it.
You got
You could be the most talented musician on the planet, but no one's gonna hear your shit because they're like, oh well, you don't have a good promoter, you don't have a good producer, you don't play the right show.
Yeah,
so you're not gonna
exactly.
do it right, people don't hear it. It's like,
exactly.
There's the same thing with the drawn art or any other visual work of art. It's like why it's annoying for someone to put a blank canvas up and be like,
Yeah.
this is my work, this is my life's piece, and you're like, it's like I did that in college because I forgot to do an assignment. I handed you a blank sheet of paper with my name on it and like was just trying to get some bonus points for remembering. You know what I mean?
Let's go back over to Nicky for a while.
I'm gonna kind of draw us away a little bit, but it's kind of like
Please.
holding the door open for somebody. When you hold the door open, right, and there's a long line of people, suddenly you're holding it open for more and more people. When you paint a picture, or rather when you don't paint a picture, you just hang it up, and it doesn't reach everybody. When you play a song like a one-hit wonder, and a lot of people hear the song, or a lot of people like it, whatever, you're reaching more people. Again, I'm coming back to art is communication. It's something more than just like here it is. People have to be drawn to it, and it has to have an effect on people. So when you paint something that doesn't really have an effect on someone, it's kind of almost a slap in the face, or it's like, I don't really get this. I don't understand. Somebody who paints something for themselves sometimes gets more recognition than somebody who paints something to try to reach the masses or try to reach an audience. Like musicians too, if you're writing a song, are you really singing it with passion from within, or if you're holding the door open, are you really just doing it just because it's the chivalry, it's the right thing to do, or or are you actually genuinely like, okay, I can tell these people are three steps behind me,
So
There has to be
how do you
something.
feel though as an artist? I was like, if I get into like just the most emotional state I possibly can, I throw everything I have. I'm trying to communicate everything I'm feeling, and I feel like I do it. I do my masterpiece. I write the song. It's everything about me, and people are just like, oh, nice, and then just pass it on. Like, what's that like? What's that? How do you deal with that?
I think going back to this community idea, there's a buildup of your clout and your story. if somebody a stranger walks in and just starts telling us the end of a story that's really powerful to him, we're kind of like, what led up to that? Or tell me about you, or who you are, what you stood for, and why you were doing this. And even in politics now, it's like, it's important, like, what that person did, who they grabbed and who they talked about on the bus. Like, has nothing to do with the policy, has nothing to do with the action, nothing to do with the story. But it's like, you want to see consistency and honesty and sincerity in the work. And so what I think the point is, like, you tell this story, like, what if I poured my heart into this thing? Well, if you didn't communicate the whole story, and maybe you should have done it small bits, in pieces, and rather than just like dumping the end of the story all in one little thing. I think that's where, like, these paintings get their recognition and clout, is like, this is a response to this movement. This is an answer to this other person's painting. This is the 5th painting this person did in their whole life. This is the last painting they ever did. This is a painting of the mother of this artist. Like,
should we value that though?
No one-hit wonders.
Yeah. So this is a great question. Jordan Peterson asked a similar question of, like, where's the value in Elvis's guitar? Can you put your finger on it? Absolutely not. It's only in the story. It's only in the build-up. It's only in our minds. And art is poking that thing and saying, that's the art is in your mind. So the painting is just this thing that has, the sum of its parts is nothing. Only the story behind it is what matters. Mona Lisa has, the canvas and the ink and not ink, but the paint and the oil is no more valuable than any other pile of canvas and wood and oil. It's only the story that's worth anything. And all this thing is a certificate that the story existed.
So, and is that, I'm trying to think, is that good or bad? Because that perpetuates the...
Why do you need to put good or bad is a term of morality. Why do you need that involved?
Sure, but it perpetuates, like, the notion of the starving artist. Like, oh, I have to live like a piece of shit for my whole life just so that when I'm finally ready to die...
You have to live with honesty to your craft and sincerity.
Sure.
That's well said. That's
I get that. I think that's totally
Great
true.
example, country music.
Oh,
all right.
God.
So, are you not a fan?
That's a reaction.
Oh, God,
a little bit. I can tolerate it.
There's a couple guys in town who are the real deal. And they are singer-songwriters. If they're singing songs about being dirtbags, it's because they lived a dirtbag life. Mm-hmm. They're singing songs about pain pills and, like, trauma and drugs. It's because they lived that life. Now, then there's the country band that I play in. We cover songs, all right? We sing songs about drugs that the Rolling Stones wrote. Mm-hmm. They lived the life. We're posers. Everyone instantly knows it. Mm-hmm. There's no respect for, like, the songs that we play for our value. Everyone knows it.
Yeah, but there's a talent, though. But
you go to a show of some of these guys, and I drop some names, so, like, Dustin Isaac's a good example, Jensen Buck's a good example, Grant Webb's a good example. They're singer-songwriters that people respect in the community, and people show up to hear their stuff. It doesn't matter if it's just him on a guitar and, like, maybe a little bit of the backing, the band could change, the music quality can go up and down, but it's like you're there because that person lived a real story. And I think that's true of, like, Cardi B and, like, other artists that I don't connect to and I don't like. I'm like, I think your music is junk. However, there's a crowd that connects with your story. There's a crowd that wants to kind of live the life that you're living. They wish they could drop all their inhibitions and all the borders that make them a polite little individual in society and live like your crazy self. They wish they could be Tekashi 6ix9ine and just go off and do whatever they want with their hair and their tattoos and just go to jail and not care.
I agree. I think that's a really good way.
They want to connect to that story, and I think in a harder way, painters are doing that. It's not as easy to see if you're not involved, but I think they're doing that.
You put all this work into it, like you said. You pour your heart and your soul into something. Maybe that's just somebody who is wanting to communicate and wanting to be heard. Because
The battery's going to die on the camera.
Is it?
Battery just died.
There it goes.
Oh. We good?
Action.
Okay, sweet. We good? This is Free Candy Podcast, episode 13. Thank you for listening. We had Nicky Pendelton on here.
12, dude. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be a blast. Rich, show yourself. I don't think I can do that, dude. Alright. I don't know how to do that. Rob right in the
You've listened to, are you still going?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Free Candy. We'll be back soon.
Okay.